NASA is planning to test an unconventional system for launching small objects to low Earth orbit. The system, which uses intense centrifugal force in a final propulsion stage, aims to make launches more affordable and environmentally friendly, but the concept remains unproven. This is why NASA has recently begun tests on it, but using such a colossal centrifuge? How does that work, and why did they go through with it? Another topic of conversation in this video is the NASA logo on SpaceX's rocket, looking wholly messed up. What could the big mess up be, and who's to blame? These questions and more are going to be answered, so let the countdown commence. And let's blast off into the topics. What caused NASA to use a huge centrifuge? SpinLaunch is a startup that has been running tests of its system in the New Mexico desert for the past several months, and the world certainly took notice of the California startup when it performed a successful first test on October 22, 2021, when the A-33 Suborbital Mass Accelerator, working at just 20% capacity, flung a 10-foot-long projectile to an altitude of tens of thousands of feet, according to the company. The current Suborbital Accelerator is a one-third scale version of the machine SpinLaunch would like to build, a gigantic kinetic launch system capable of hurling objects to the edge of space. Flung to an extreme altitude, the projectile's propulsion stage would kick in, providing the final boost to low Earth orbit. LEO. The system, should it work, would introduce an entirely new means of delivering objects to space, as potential payloads could include small satellites, on-orbit scientific experiments, building materials, or even the ashes of loved ones. So yes, SpinLaunch nabbed our attention, and the concept seems to have caught NASA's eye as well. So much so that the space agency signed an agreement with SpinLaunch to develop, integrate, and fly a NASA payload spewed out by the company's A-33 Suborbital Mass Accelerator. SpinLaunch would also be required to recover the payload, followed by a combined analysis to evaluate the test and determine whether the space agency would like to proceed with subsequent tests. What does this test aim to achieve? The company claims the system will result in a 70% reduction in the use of fuel compared to conventional rockets, and a tenfold decrease in the overall cost to launch. The accelerator uses an electric engine, making it considerably more environmentally friendly than the alternative. SpinLaunch says many system components are built from existing industrial hardware and that no radical advancements in technologies or materials are required. As a bonus, a single facility could perform multiple launches each day. Accordingly, SpinLaunch is positioning the system as a clean, cheap, and efficient way for companies to populate LEO with satellites and build satellite mega constellations. Indeed, the G-forces promise to be intense, as speeds within the scaled-up orbital version of the accelerator are expected to reach 5,000 miles per hour, 8,000 kilometers an hour. A launch vehicle carrying a satellite or other cargo, no humans obviously, will be positioned at the tip of a rotating carbon fiber arm located within a 300-foot wide, 91-meter steel vacuum chamber. The component, moving counterclockwise, will spin increasingly faster until it's ready to shoot the object through the smokestack-like tunnel at the top of the accelerator. Once in the stratosphere, the launch vehicle will engage its thrusters to complete the journey to orbit. The company expects to launch satellites weighing upwards of 440 pounds, 200 kilograms. Was the test a success? During the late September test out of the Spaceport America base located in New Mexico's Jornada del Muerto Desert, the startup's 11-month mega slingshot launched a capsule containing 5 payloads, including a camera tens of thousands of feet into the sky, a demonstration that helps illustrate the ways alternative launch technology, such as the mass accelerator's rapidly rotating arm, may be able to hurl satellites and other objects into low Earth orbit or beyond. Along with this 10th successful demo showcasing the capabilities of the mass accelerator, this test also indicates that SpinLaunch customers' payloads can survive the massive G-forces, up to 10,000 times the force of Earth's gravity, generated by the rapidly rotating arm hidden within the large contraption, which flung them out faster than the speed of sound. Indeed, during both pre-flight tests and in the demonstration's aftermath, the customer payloads survived intact, SpinLaunch's press release notes. Though the company's technology is obviously not ready to launch larger payloads or send smaller satellites farther out than the 25,000 feet it's achieved so far, SpinLaunch has still done a ton since its founding in 2014, and especially in the years since the mass accelerator has been online. While SpinLaunch has ruled out any would-be fatal crewed launches, these tests are nonetheless an incredible advent, demonstrating that small payloads can survive such intense G-forces, and the possibilities for where it could go next are super fun to consider too. Who messed up the NASA logo on the SpaceX rocket? A Falcon 9 rocket effortlessly delivered a Crew Dragon spacecraft with a crew of 4 on board into orbit this week. The historic mission launched successfully on October 5th and saw a Russian launch to orbit with SpaceX for the first time, despite severe geopolitical tensions in the wake of the ongoing Russian invasion of Ukraine. Yet the rocket sitting on the pad drew attention for other reasons too. Before it disappeared in the blue yonder, there was something off about the rocket's looks. Onlookers jumped to point out that NASA's iconic logo, a star-studded blue circle with a red swoop known as the meatball, looked very wrong. Sure enough, the text in the rocket's painted-on logo was noticeably off-center. If you look closely, it's noticeable that the text is shifted to the right along with the constellations of stars, that is, it is not aligned relative to the center of the blue circle. Of course, a badly painted logo isn't exactly going to put the lives of astronauts in danger, but it's a simple job that you'd expect the crack shots at SpaceX and NASA to get right. We'll forgive NASA and SpaceX for the less-than-stellar rendition of one of the most recognizable logos in space exploration today. If it weren't for the fact that the Falcon 9 rocket has completed 180 missions successfully over the last 12 or so years, though, we'd be a lot more worried. But come on, folks, let's hope they get it right for the lunar variant of SpaceX's much larger Starship and super heavy booster. Was there any backlash? As one would expect, news of this proportion would undoubtedly raise some eyebrows. And that was the case here again. The internet picked up a flurry of tweets on the matter, with users poking fun at the apparently hand-painted NASA logo, which, unlike the launch itself, seemed to have veered off course. Netizens have found fun with the botched NASA logo on Twitter. Here's one of them. "Wake up, honey. New NASA logo discourse just dropped." An account named Worm Evangelist. A reference to NASA's other recently revived logo that was created for Ronald Reagan in 1984, tweeted. Others began to use artificial intelligence-based image generators and began to come up with ideas for their own view of the space agency's logo, which gave interesting results. However, the other side of Twitter didn't see the funny part of the whole fiasco. This part of the internet community noted that the text on the NASA logo was not centered, which greatly angered perfectionists. Users began to accuse designers of doing their job imperfectly. Of course, the text in the image is unlikely to threaten the lives of astronauts, but people did not expect such apparent negligence from SpaceX and NASA, which for decades have been a model of perfection and accuracy even in detail. Perhaps the Crew 5 logo was a subtle nod to the fact our planet is an oblate spheroid, slightly flattened at the poles due to Earth's rotation, but likely not. It's unknown what caused the logo to appear so out of sorts, but in the end, a not very successful reproduction of one of the most recognizable logos in space exploration will not prevent NASA and SpaceX from further exploring and conquering the universe, surprising us with their new discoveries and achievements. Has there been other logo mishaps like this? The meatball logo first appeared in 1959 and served as NASA's official logo until 1975, when the red worm became NASA's emblem. According to the agency, the logo's overall round shape represents a planet, while the stars obviously represent space. Meanwhile, the red V-shaped wing design represents aeronautics, and the circular orbit around the agency's name is meant to stand for space travel. It's not the only recent space-related logo fiasco, however, as a flying saucer shape turned up on a National Intelligence Manager for Aviation logo. That logo has since been taken down, and a spokesperson there stated that a staffer had erroneously posted an unofficial and incorrect symbol. Well, that ends our little space adventure. We deliberated on the breakthroughs NASA is making as well as their little misgivings. If you have any comments and thoughts on this, feel free to share them in the comments section below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our page. We don't take your support for granted. So, till next time, to infinity and beyond.